Simple for me. Just want to thank Mrs. Benson, thank Griff, Dennis, Trajan, Swin for another great opportunity to coach this team this season. We're excited. I think you guys have heard that from Trajan. You've heard it from Griff. And, we look forward to kicking off camp tomorrow.
Yeah, I think when we spoke to you in the spring, you said, I'm going to rewatch every game we played this year. Is there anything new you learned about your team that you didn't during the season or anything like that?
Yeah. Just no matter what obstacles we faced last season, the guys were pretty resilient. They stayed together. They stayed connected. Even watching on tape, on film, I can see the bench going crazy for each other, and it's a ton in there. But that's one of the things that I took from watching games all summer.
Yeah, and this year's roster, a lot of offensive talent in the room. Zion, CJ, BI, JV, a lot of other guys. How exciting is that challenge of putting those pieces together and getting them to play together?
That's the fun part of basketball is, like you said, having a number of guys really that can score 20-plus points on any given night. But then for them understanding the balance of it, like it's going to be some nights that is your night. It'll be nights that, it's one of your teammates. So for me and the staff and for our group, that's extremely exciting.
Yeah, the situation you're walking into this year is much different than how it was this time last year. Just how much does that change your approach, just how you're going to coach this team this year, the message going into camp, all of that kind of stuff?
Well, we look back on last year and, you try to learn from it, right? And so I think all of our players, they understand what we were able to accomplish, and we want to build on that. And that's our mentality coming into camp. Nothing is going to be given to us. There's a bit of some expectations out there, and that's good. That means we got a chance to be a good team. And our work should exemplify what we want to be, and that's what we look forward to.
Last year at this time, we weren't really talking much about Herb Jones, but obviously he was impressing you guys in the offseason workouts and through training camp. Is there somebody who has kind of stood out to you in that way, maybe this year so far?
Yeah, Herb Jones again. Once again. I mean, he doesn't go home much. He's in New Orleans every day, every morning, to the point where Griff and those guys are telling him, like, Herb, you gotta have some balance. But all of our guys are great. They've been here this summer. You guys have talked about guys having camps in the city, having camps back in their communities. But it's fun to see, and it speaks to the leadership here that guys want to be in the building. They want to come in and get their work in, and they feel like it's a place that they can come and get better. So that makes me feel good when I go home.
Just one more. We talked at Zion's extension signing about how do you work him into the offense. What is your process like? Do you go back and watch film from 2021, 1920? Or where do you what's your process to try to fit him into what you want to do offensively?
Yeah, I do. I go back and watch film, watch some things that work, and then it's constantly talking with him, talking to the coaching staff, and figuring out what works. And if it works, we try to make sure we add it. If it doesn't, we move on. But it'll be a progression with Zion, and it won't be a thing where right away we see the Zion that we're accustomed to seeing. I think it will be a progression based on him missing the time that he missed.
Coach, can you talk about just the biggest changes for you going from year one to year two, the quick turnaround from the finals, catching up, and now what you're most comfortable with going into this year?
Yeah, great question. Last season, I didn't know what to expect. You just don't know what you don't know. I have a better grasp on how I want to start camp, a better grasp on the players that we have because we have the same team. So I think we can be more advanced in some of the things that we're running on both ends of the floor. And it'll be, once again, a learning experience. I think the difference is, and I think Griff and Trajan both talked about it, but last season we were young, and I'm not sure what the expectations was outside of our building. But this year I know that there's expectation, but we also have expectations for ourselves, and it'll be fun coaching in that way.
Trajan, Willie, Trajan touched on just how painful it was that playoff series loss to the Suns. Just how much fuel do you think that's given you, coaching staff, and the players this summer?
It's extremely difficult. When you lose a hard-fought game like we did, I'm sure we're all learning a lot from that series. But our guys are motivated, and that's the beauty of our group. All summer they've been working, and they've been talking about having an opportunity to get back in the playoffs and compete again. So we got a long ways to go, but once again, we're excited.
Do you? I'm sorry, Will.
No, you good.
I have two questions. I know that every team is different, every year is different, every situation is different, but you were part of that bubble Suns team that won there and then ended up in the finals the next year. Do you even show them what's possible, or do you reference that in any way, or do you stay away from maybe going from the play-in to the highest of highs this year?
No, I'll definitely speak to what I believe our expectations should be. And I think that's important to verbalize it. And so we have an understanding of what we're working towards. And I did the same thing last season. But once again, it just gives you an opportunity. We want an opportunity. We can do all the right things, and it doesn't work out our way. And so we understand that as well. But we'll get in to camp tomorrow. We'll have dinner tonight and camp tomorrow, and we'll talk about, where we want to go from here. But I'm sure our guys, organizations, our expectations are pretty high for us coming into this season.
And the follow-up I wanted, when you just sat down, you thank them for the opportunity to coach the team. In the world of pro sports, that is, I feel like, something that may be a little bit uncommon. Do you think that has trickled down to your team, almost appreciate the opportunity and more thankful for the opportunity than I'm here to save you?
I think we have unbelievable just character in general, and so I'm thankful that I get an opportunity to go to work with our group, and I get an opportunity to coach the team, and our players are the same way. Our front office, our performance, our medical, we're all pretty similar in the fact that we understand that every day we get an opportunity to walk into an NBA arena or practice facility is a blessing. And I try to make sure that that's my perspective.
Yeah, and Griff kind of talked about the double-edged sword of, hey, it's great to come in with a deep roster, but part of that is everybody's coming in expecting to play, right? So I guess how much thought have you and the staff kind of put into managing that and kind of what it's going to look like going into camp?
Yeah, I think that'll be fun. It'll take some managing on my part, but you guys have seen it. You've been in it long enough to know there's certain parts of the season that everybody will probably have an opportunity to play at some point. And it's just a matter of maximizing those opportunities and continuing to support each other when it's not there. That's the hard part, but I think that's fun. Camp should be competitive, and we'll see where we are after that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because of the injury, we didn't get to see Dyson much over the summer. But just what have your thoughts been just seeing him up close over the summer and just the way he works?
Man, sky's the limit. He's another, Jose mentality. Herb Jones, Trey, Brandon, like he has that mentality that he wants to work. He wants to get better. I'm thankful that we were able to draft him, that he was there because he's got some tools, and so hopefully we can work him in some way. But it's exciting to see what he can bring.
We've
we've seen teams have success playing different styles of basketball. Obviously, you preach the .5 style, share the basketball, move it quickly. You also have 3 players who you can just sort of create space for, tell people to get out of the way, and they can get the bucket. Maybe more than 3 players, but at least 3 of them. How do you sort of marry the 2 styles and play to each player's strength? Because, like, for example, you give Brandon the ball and let him cook.
Yeah, it's pretty much as simple as you put it. We'll try to play .5 as much as we can, ball movement, player movement. And then there's times that Brandon, CJ, Z will have it going. And when they do, we want to ride them. And that just means give them the ball and get out the way. And they figure it out from there. And I think that's what happens when you have the type of talent that we have is, you try to have a balance. We won't play one-on-one all game. But there'll be times where we take advantage of mismatches and opportunities.
You talked about watching all 82 games in the play-in tournament. What did you learn about yourself rather than just the team, like watching those games?
The first thing is, I have a lot of work to do to continue to get better, and that's what I wanted to. That's why I wanted to do it, is to try to see what I was doing as a coach, where I could be better, and what sets can we run, and what defensively can we adjust something, and then, echoing the same thing about our team. I felt that me as a leader, just being steady, coming in every day and being pretty consistent. So.
Have you thought about playing Zion at the 5 in closing groups, or is it too early to think about that?
I have. We'll see. I think that's the beauty in our team. Once again, we have some flexibility, and we got some guys that can play multiple positions, including Z. So we'll see what it looks like.
Coach, you briefly touched about it earlier, but the guys getting together in the offseason, just from a coach's perspective, what does that mean to see guys organize trainings and workouts together away from the team and just showing that commitment to themselves and to the team itself?
It's huge. I'm thankful for Brandon and CJ for kind of orchestrating a team workout, and it speaks to their leadership, and it speaks to all of our guys that participated. They wanted to be there. They wanted to be in the gym connecting with each other. And you guys know when you have that type of momentum and you're building and you're striving for something that's great, it helps. All of those things help. And, I think a lot of teams are doing that now. They're getting together in the summer and sort of holding some player-only workouts and get a chance to see where guys like the ball. But more importantly than that is their camaraderie off the floor. And that's what you need. No matter what you go through, ups and downs throughout the course of the season, you want to have a group that understands each other and are pretty connected. And we're blessed that our guys are doing that.
I know that Trajan alluded to taking his son to games in Jackson and Birmingham. How has the community been? I know you were at the Tulane game the other night. Do you feel it? Do you see it? From even a year ago when you got here, and I guess how much of a part of the community do you feel right now?
For sure. I definitely feel it. And New Orleans has been great. The people here have been fantastic. I feel a bit of excitement going into the season when I'm out, when I'm going to anything in the community, and I'm just going to dinner. People are walking up to me and talking about our team, and that feels good. We know we have a lot in front of us, but I think that's a start. And look, we wouldn't be the team we are or want to be without our fans and community supporting us.
Coach, you had mentioned having your full squad together from last season shortens your learning curve. I feel like patience might be the wrong word, but does that mean there might be a little shorter leash for mistakes that have been corrected last season?
That's a good question. Look, mistakes are a part of it, but I can already see in their pickup games that they're doing a lot of things that we were doing last season. They're calling certain plays, certain coverages on defense, and so they get it. They're already there. It allows us to go that much faster, and I'm aware that I still have to teach and don't leave any stone uncovered. But I definitely think we'll get off to a faster start than we did last season. At least I'm hopeful.
Coach, I realize you probably know this from a personal perspective, but from your point guard role, would you look towards more of Jose included, a CJ included, a Devontae, Zion handling the ball? What is your focus on controlling the ball, at least from up the court?
I think a number of those guys can handle the ball. CJ will have point guard responsibilities to start. Devontae, Jose will also have point guard responsibilities. But there's times throughout the meat of the game where Brandon will handle, and then Zion can handle, and those guys are playing off the ball. And I think that's where our shooting ability comes into play, and having Trey, having CJ, having Brandon, having Devontae, who can play with the ball in their hands or play without the ball, is really going to help us.
You've got a fight speech last year went viral. How important was it to win that play-in, and how important are moments like those?
Look, we wanted to win the game, and during that moment, there was a bit of doubt on my part. And I just remember walking down the sideline, and the Clippers was on a huge run, and the quarter had just ended. It was a 10-point game, and just a bit of doubt crept into my mind. And I know our guys had to been feeling it as well. And so my mindset was, I got to give us something. If I'm feeling it, I know they're feeling it. And they responded. And it's something that we talked about all season long, but it's what our group is made of, is we want to be able to respond when the opportunity presents itself. And it did, and I'm extremely proud of us, and now we want to take another step. It wasn't so much about the speech, it was more about, at that time, that's just, I needed to hear it, and they needed to hear it, and it was just motivation to go and do what we know we're capable of doing.
Jose, Trey, Herb, by the end of last year, they all carved out a role that was really effective in producing wins. Going into year two, how do you balance them getting stronger in their role versus giving them the freedom to also expand their game and grow outside of their role?
Well, like you said, Jose, Trey, Herb, and Najee were all playing meaningful minutes in the playoffs. We felt that they would have an opportunity to do that even at the start of the season. It just took us some time to get there. I expect them to come in hungry and not taking anything for granted. I know that they're going to make it difficult for whomever's on the floor in camp. And that's a part of building our young core, is they're going to push guys to be better. They're pushing themselves to be better. And it's extremely fun to watch. And that's the maturation process of having young guys.
And this is sort of a follow-up to that. Do you anticipate more on-ball reps for guys like Herb and even Trey, or is it kind of too early to think about that kind of stuff?
Definitely more for Herb. I think he can be more on the ball on both ends of the floor. He can initiate our offense at times. I see him having some of those responsibilities, but we'll see. We'll get into practice. We'll dive into what works once again and see where we are.
All right, thanks,
All right, thank you all.